Well,
This was to assess the integrity. Michael, you are the one recording, right? Our objective was
yes,
to assess
yes,
the
yes.
integrity
I'm the one.
and accuracy of data stored in the database. Auditing a database involves verifying that the data it contains is both accurate and has not been tampered with, thereby ensuring that information can be relied upon for decision making and governance. I'm pleased to report that the audit is now complete. After a rigorous examination of the database records, as well as the procedure in place for data entry and modification, we can confirm that vast majority of the data aligns with the principle of good governance and data-driven decision-making that you have so vigorously championed. However, we did find some data that was tampered with, which requires your immediate attention. I have attached the records I have re-examined for your review. Thank you for entrusting us with this crucial task. Your commitment to accountability and transparency is truly commendable. Yeah, so if you look at this place, there's a CSV file here. Hopefully that's what they would want us to work on. That's the auditor's report. That is the auditor's report. So I'm trying to open the file. So we may need to download the file when we need to now work on it. Okay, let me just download from here. So we can do a scan through of the file now to see what is in the file. We are not like you noted we are only discussing what is required of us. We are not solving any of the problems now, so that it prepares our mind ahead of the things we need to be doing. Okay, this is the audit report. Um, not much though, but requires lots of data cleaning as I can see on the file. All right, moving on. The results on Margin Dogo Water Project. Still, now the president is speaking back to the auditor now, saying, "Dear Tendai, thank you for the meticulous work you and your team have put into auditing Margin Dogo Water Project. The depth of your analysis reflects your commitment to excellence and accountability. I'm heartened to learn that our operations are largely in line with our principle of governance. At the same time, your findings are valuable as they highlight areas we can further improve rather. Rest assured, I will be convening our data team to address any issue and take any steps necessary to ensure the integrity of our data. Once again, I commend you and your team for your hard work and dedication. Maji Ndogo is indeed counting on all of us to deliver our promise. Thank you for playing your part. So, yes, that's the response from the president to the auditor. Now, our main man, which is the man that gives all of us task every week, ELD. I believe when we start practicing our module from this module 13 downward, we'll know what ELD is. But from what I've seen so far, ELD is entity relational database. Entity relational or relationship database, but it's part of the first module that you read on. Hey, it's been a while. I hope you're ready to get talking. I don't know if you are ready there. If you are hearing me, I don't know if you are ready. Some of us are still battling with last week's project, which we are not done yet. And by the way, I hope we all know that there will be an exam. There's an exam that has been scheduled for 13th of November. That's by way of information. So we go back the auditor's reports. So we need to compare their results to ours. To integrate the auditor's report, we will need to access many of the tables in the database. So it's important to understand the database structure. Like we have seen, this is the database that this is the report of the auditor. I opened it in one of the slides now. That's the report of the auditor. So what he's saying is that before we can even do anything, we need to understand what the database is that the auditor has worked on. So it's important to understand the database structure. To do this, we really need to understand the relationship first, so we know where to pull information from. Can you please get the ELD for the MD? That is the usual database that we work with. Spend a few minutes looking at the diagram. So we are requested to go and check the diagram in the database. Note that the visit table is the central table. Location ID, source ID, and assigned employee ID are primary keys in their respective tables, but are all foreign keys in visit. These are mostly the DS one-to-many. Okay, database one-to-many relationship. This is correct. Yeah, if you have done some things on this current mode, you would have noticed that there are separate relationship in the database, one-on-one, one-to-many, and the like. So that's what they are speaking to do. I believe we'll get used to it. So the visit table logs all the time. We've been to different places, and we can see that some locations have been visited multiple times. On the other hand, the location table has all the specifics about each location once. So it's a one-to-many relationship. For each unique location in the location table, there might be many corresponding records in the visit table, detailing all the. Let's look at the relationship between the visit and the water quality table. So on our usual table, you know that we have a table for visit and we have a table for water quality. So we are meant to look at that closely. For every entry in the visit table, quality table, this means each visit recorded is associated with a one-to-one relationship between the visit and water quality table. I've gone through some of the modules and what they actually meant by one-to-one relationship for some of us that have not done anything on that is that where you have all these tables that you have in MD water sources. Now you have table for employee, you have table for visit, you have table for location. So when you have unique identifier in one table, they call one-to-one relationship that table. For two tables, only one thing is unique among them, it's the customer high relationship. Reading further. But if you look at the ELD, it shows many to one as one entity for each of the to them as an entity. For each relationship in this sense, is saying that for every we have a table which is an so one table here has like a table may have customer ID, and that's the other table that has unique identifier. That's when they say many to one. That's what they mean by many to one relationship. If you read further, you understand that. This does not agree with our thinking. Errors like these can cause problems. So let's fix that. We should normally be careful making a change like this. First, you should check the record ID, unique for both tables, and are indeed one-to-one. So if they want us to look at both tables and look at the unique ID, which they assume in this case is the record ID, meaning that if you look at the visit table and you look at the water quality table, there's a unique identifier. So they want us to check it, which is the record ID. I did that. So all we have to do is right click on the relationship line and select edit relationship. Then at the bottom, select the foreign key. Now, what do we mean by foreign key? What I understand by foreign key, I don't know if I may be correct. You can pause and correct me, please. So primary key is a unique identifier for all the relational tables. It's usually found on the comprehensive database, a database that houses all the information. For instance, for every table you go, you may see record ID, record ID, record ID for all the tables. It means that record ID is a unique identifier. That record ID in that case is a primary key. what they like I went to what I mean, what they meant in the module. What they are saying is that you have a key that is not a primary key, but a replica of the characteristics that I made that I noted as a primary key is that on that entity where that primary key is, that table, that main table, that broad database that warehouses all the unique keys, there must be no duplication. Meaning that for every rows, there must be no duplication of customer ID if customer ID is the primary key. Meaning that for every column, there must be no duplication of that primary key. Now, if you have that primary key in another table, and in that other table, we have duplications. That other table, that key in that other table is standing as a foreign key because it's just like a replica of the primary key in that other table. That's what I meant by I understand to mean by foreign key. But when you read further, your perspective may be different. You can stop me, or please stop me and correct me if I'm wrong, if my understanding is wrong, so that I can change it to my belief. Okay. Decided to select the foreign key tab and change the cardinality to 1-to-1. Now the relationship line should indicate a 1-to-1 relation. That is when we notice that in this case, what we did is that we have noticed that the table gives a many to one, but our understanding is that it should be 1-to-1. So what this guy is saying is that we should now change it from many to 1-to-1 relationship. So moving further, integrating the auditor's reports. Okay, I send you a CSV file of the auditor's result, which I opened and I read to you guys. You should get it loaded into SQL. You have to think back to the start of our journey on how to do that. So for some of us, we need to start. Some of us that are always coming late to. I'm also a culprit that are always coming late. I need to go and learn how to upload CSV file to SQL. Okay. Okay. So they said we should upload that auditor's result back into SQL.